So
we're on Daf Nun Beis and Beis by the Mishnah and the Bavli. Hamatame v'amadame v'amanasich b'shoigig poter b'mezid chayev. Somebody who causes tuma to truma. So when you cause tuma to truma, the whole thing becomes disqualified. Only thing you're able to do with truma tameo is hesek hano. You could have benefit. You could light it up, but it just doesn't look good for all of us. Somebody, you're destroying his truma, but it's not recognizable. It's called hezek sheninikar. It's a damage that's not recognizable. A madama is if you mix his truma into chulin, so there's still some sort of use for it. If you're madama, there's still a little bit of use for it, which is a kohen can eat it, so you could theoretically sell it to kohen for cheap. It doesn't have as much market value. But hamanasich is if you cause it to be yain nesta. Hamanasich. That's for sure. Then it's forbidden even by no, even to have any benefit. In every sense, it's going to be forbidden. So according to the Mishnah, we'll see soon. There's machlek. Well, Gemara will get into everything. Yeah. Sorry, 1 second. Itmar, it was stated, Menasech, Rav Omer Menasech Mamish, Ushmul Omer Ma'arif. Rav says Menasech means Menasech, that you're literally using your hands to stir the wine for Avodah Zarah. And Shmuel says Ma'arif. Shmuel says you're not Menasech, you're not causing the wine for Avodah Zarah. Ma'arif means you're mixing the Yain Nesech with Yain Kosher. So what would be the nafkamina between Menasech or Ma'arif? Can anybody tell me?
what's your question?
What's the difference if you're Ma'arif, if you mix the Yain Nesech into regular wine, or if you're causing it to become Yain Nesech?
The question would be maybe that if you're Ma'arif, is it a certain percentage that it still be okay or not?
No, because you're mixing it equally. Okay, we'll see in a second. The Gemara will tell us. So the Gemara says, like, according to Shmuel, that he says, Ma'arav, you're mixing the Yain Nesech in, so you're making it, it's still all forbidden, but why doesn't he say Menasech? He just caused the wine to become Yain Nesech. So it's a good answer. By Menasech, you are not going to be chayiv for the damages because you're chayiv misa. Interesting. In other words, you're serving Avodah Zarah, which is interesting that theoretically you're not chayiv misa because there's no eidim, there's no asra. But the fact is, because it's a chiyuv misa, because you did something like Avodah Zarah, which has a chiyuv misa, you're not going to be chayiv in damages. What's going to be your punishment? I'm not sure. What happens if you serve Avodah Zarah without asra? I don't know. I actually don't know.
Is it karet?
Yeah. You get karet.
Yeah.
Do we do anything to the person? I guess it's probably up to the bezin to decide what to do, because it's not like a din. There's no like assigned punishment. Yeah, you get karet. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Anyway. So it seems like the din of Kam Le'B'Derabnei applies even without Eidim and Asra. That's what it seems like to me, my understanding. So the question is, what's Rav going to say? Rav does says Menasech. So why does he say Chayiv and damages if there's Menasech? He holds like Rabbi Yirmiyah, Dom Rabbi Yirmiyah Shas Hagbohu Dekona, Stai Benav Shalei Have Al Chasnis. You're koina the moment you lift it up. You're only Chayiv when you're Menasech. My only question on that is, what if you didn't lift it up? What if you just did the nisuch while it was without touching it? It was in a barrel of wine. You did the nisuch. So I'm not sure exactly.
What's nisuch?
Nisuch is when you move the wine for Avodah Zarah, yain nesach. So if a yid did this to his friend's wine, he's chayav to pay the damages. Question is, why doesn't the chiyuv misa supersede the damages? So according to Shmuel, it does. That's why he says ma'arif. Only if you mix the yain nesach in regular wine are you going to be chayav for the damages. According to Rav, You are chayiv for the damages because you only chayiv misa when you do the nis. Chayiv for the damages the moment you had the
That's
intent
when
to do
you
the
put.
nisach from when you picked it up. I don't
When you
understand
pour
it
it
so
to
well.
the- It's
Because
only
let's say
when
you
you
pick it
pour
up.
it to the idol, right? It's only when you pour it to the idol that you're chayav death
No, it's only
penalty.
when you mix it with your hands. Mix it with your hand. It's not when you're pouring it in. Or maybe you could do it through pouring it. It says here in Rashi, he says like this: you moved it with your hand. And that's how they did that by stirring it with their hand. Okay, we'll leave it as a question. I'm not sure. I just thought of this question. Gemara asks, I suppose Rav will tell you you did Agba. We'll say you did Agba. Mishnah's talking about where you did Agba. If you didn't do Agba, in a Chanami, Rav would be moida that you'd be patur. But if you did Agba before, the Yirmiyah holds, even though you didn't actually yet do anything to disqualify your friend's thing, but if you picked it up in order to do the Ayin Nesech, that is enough to, what's it called? To make it forbidden. So the Gemara says, I just didn't say it clearly. If you pick it up in order to do the nisuch, from the moment you pick it up, that's when you're chayiv in the damages. Even though you didn't do the damage yet, the picking it up is the kinyan, is the acquisition to make you chayiv. That's like the theft. The theft is the moment you pick it up. If you're magdi al manasli goyzer, you pick it up in order to steal it, it's as if you stole it already. That's I don't know what
Steinsaltz seems to imply that you don't become liable to receive the death penalty until he actually pours the wine before the idol.
That's what he says, pours the wine. Okay, interesting.
Before the idol. The idol
Rashi doesn't say that. He just says to stir it with your hand. That's what he says. I don't know where. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Pouring. I don't know. I don't know what his source is. Good thing that he wouldn't go like Rashi. Okay. The Gemara says like this. Why doesn't he just say ma'arif? Ma'arif is medame. The same thing. It's the same thing. Mixing truma into chulin and mixing of a zara into what's called. If you're chayiv for medama, for mixing truma into chulin, you're for sure going to be chayiv for mixing yain nesach into regular wine. Yeah. The Gemara says like this. What's more going to say? It's the same thing. Ma'arif and medama. We don't learn from one knas to another. Wherever the chum made the knas, that's where they made the knas. It's a fine. It's not damages. It's a fine. You can't do one to the other. The Gemara says like this: V'dilma. No, I lost my thread of thought. According to Rav, that he does learn one knas from the other. So why do we need all these cases? According to Shmuel, you can't learn one knas from the other. So the Mishnah has to tell us everything. According to Rav, why do we tell us anything? Why does Mishnah need all these cases? Learn one from the other. Just say it in one, and we'll learn all the other ones from it. Tzricha, we need all of them. If you would just say metame, what's metame? That you made the truma tame, you made the truma impure. Eat truma. If you're going to say that you're being metame truma because you're causing it to become tame, you're ruining it. At least for achila, he's no longer able to eat it. And if you say that he's being metame, if you say we're talking about a case that he's being metame chulin, you did an isser. You're not allowed to do it. Not that you can't eat chulin. That's something. Of course you could, but you did an isser. You're not allowed to cause tumah to chulin eretz yisrael. So that's why there's a knas. Avon medame maloi. But when it comes to medama, that you're mixing the truma to chulin, you're not really doing an isser. The isser is, of course, that you're causing damage to your friend. That's for sure also. But you're not doing an isser like causing tumah. It's a different type of isser. One is mamanis and one is isser. This say you're not allowed to cause chulin bitara. You're not allowed to cause chulin to become tamei in Eretz Yisrael is because of those who eat chulin b'tara. That's isser. This is you're damaging your friend's property That's mominous. So maybe medama is different. Maybe there's no knas by medam because it's hezek shen and nikr. You can't recognize the hezek. This is we'll see. It's only according to the opinion that hezek shen and nikr shmei hezek will have a machlekes soon. Between Rav Chizkiya and Rav Yechanan. So then he goes on and says like this: Riyash mean medama. If you're going to tell us that we're talking about medama, mishum the shchiach, it's more common.
What's medama?
You're mixing truma and techulin. It's common. I don't know why it's common. Why is it common to mix truma and techulin? It's more common. It happens more often than causing truma to become tame. I would actually think to argue the opposite. I would think to cause tuma is more common because it's easy to cause tuma to something. Okay, the Gemara says the other way that it's common. But causing tuma, it's not common. Maybe there's no knas in something which isn't common. So they have to say both medama and metama. It's only because you don't have the chi of misa of menasach the kimle b'derabba. But by nisuch, we were talking about izara, the chi of misa imaloi kamash malon k'derabirmia. That's why you have to say menasach also to teach you the din of Rabbi Yirmiyah that the chi of mominus comes from the moment you lift it up. The chi of misa comes when you do the avodah zarah. So why don't we just say menasach, and you can skip out matama? We'll see in a second. According to the father of Ravav, in the beginning they said matama and menasach, and then they included medama. So why do we need it? If menasach is your chayiv, the where you have kimle b'derabbanei for sure. Medama, I mean, l'chayda we already answered. We said medama is not isur. You're not causing isur. You're not doing something that's forbidden. So it's very different than metame and menasach. You would think there's no knas in such a thing. So I don't know why the Gemara is asking all over again. So we answered this question already. Okay. The Gemara says, Sricha, it's necessary. If you're going to say metame because leikim lebederabamine, you don't have the chi of mis of menasach. The kim lebederabamine menasach you have a chi of misay maloi. We need menasach. Yes, we need menasach v'shum to come after the government. Menasach, you're totally causing it to become lost. So for sure there should be a knas because avodah zarah is also bano. But metame, you're not causing it to become lost entirely. So here we're answering actually another question. Interesting. You might think now. It's interesting that the Gemara split it into two. If you're going to say these two because there's a great loss, at least there's a kol panim, there's a great loss. Even by metame, at least if we're talking about being metame trumas, there's a great loss. If you're metame chulin, there's no great loss. But truma, you can only burn it now. But medama that it's a small loss. In other words, you can still sell it to Kohen. Kohen can still eat. You can sell it to him for a little less, whatever. Therefore, at tzricha we need everything. Maybe there's no knas, so we need to say medama that there will be a knas. So why don't we just say medame? Because you're not causing isur. We already answered. Why don't you just say medama? Because you're not causing isur. So maybe, no, farkeret. Why don't we just say medame? Because medame is adrab. It's shchiach. You're not causing because it's shchiach. You would think that medame is shchiach. So why don't we say? So each one has something special. Medame, we should have a knas because it's shchiach. Menasech, we need to say because kimle b'derabamini. Metame, we need to say because you're not causing it to become totally destroyed. It's only partially destroyed. You can still use it for hasukah, for burning, so you might think there's no knas. That's why we need knas in each of them. Okay. Omer Chizkiya has a different approach. Really, midaraisa, you're chayiv in all cases, in all of these things. Whatever damage you cause, you should pay. And all in midaraisa. I kind of like what Chizkiya is saying. It feels good. It feels right. What Chizkiya is saying, honestly. My time, a hezek and a hezek. According to him, even a damage that you can't recognize is called damage. What's the reason that b'shoigeg you're potter? Because you want the guy to tell you. If you're going to say that b'shoigeg you have to pay the damages, it's not going to let you know, and you're going to be over b'isser. So it's interesting. It's very interesting. The Chachamim would rather prevent you from transgressing if the guy made your stuff forbidden, even if you're going to lose all this money. So they said that someone who's b'shoigeg is exempt. And this is obviously the opinion of our Mishnah. We'll see there's other opinions. In our Mishnah, it says someone who causes the damage, b'shoigeg is potter. He doesn't have to pay. According to Chizkiah, really, Midaraisa, he has to pay. He doesn't have to pay because we want to make sure he'll let you know. Otherwise, he'll be scared to let you know. He's not going to want to pay up. If so, even b'mezid, you should be potter in order for him to let you know. Says the Gemara, he's trying to cause you damages. He's doing it b'mezid. Obviously, he's going to tell you. Maybe he won't tell you he did it on purpose, but he's going to tell you. Now, if he says he did it by mistake, obviously he'll be potter. That's the whole svara behind Kansin and Shogeg got to mezid.
How do you know if he did it on purpose? If you say he's not going to tell anybody?
No, he will tell you because he's obviously doing. If he's doing it on purpose, he wants to damage your stuff. So he'll be like, "Haha, I just caused your truma to become tamei." Obviously, if he's doing it on purpose, he wants to cause you damages. If he's not going to let you know, that's no damage because you're not going to know about it. He has to let you know.
So, but is it possible that you could take away the question mark and just, if he did it on purpose, he's not going to let him know because he wants to really damage him. Number one, he wants to damage him, and number two, he wants him to do an avera. He wants to get him two ways.
So if he's not going to let you know,
he might eventually let him know.
He'll let you know after you eat half of it, after you eat a little bit of it.
Right.
But how would that answer the question? The question is, if the Chum wanted to make sure that you know, in order for you not to be ever isser, they should say you're exempt from damages. Why? What does it say in your Gemara? Do you have a question mark or exclamation point? I think.
No matter what you do, he's not going to let you know. I'm just asking him.
Oh, it's not going to help. No matter what you do, he's not going to let you know. Nothing is going to help because he wants you to be over isser.
Just a thought from the darker side.
His purpose is for you to be over isser. Yes, Leimar. There is such a debate, maybe, possibly. See if there's any Rashi there.
No, I took him out because he was pouring eggs on his head. He's pouring eggs on his head.
Oh, Rashi says like what I said. Do you love? Or is it again? Kadeshi Adioi. The Tzuri Kamachabit, sorry. Do you love la knutebo? If he's not trying to cause you tsar, and to let you know, lama loy david, why would he do it in the first place? He wants to let you know to cause you suffering, to tell you that now you can't use any of it. So I hear what you're saying. Maybe he wants you, maybe for him it's more important for you to be over an Isser, but then to make you feel bad after, because you'll be like have a lot of regret. Maybe, but if it's not like he needs to let you know, because if you don't know about it, then it's not like such a big deal. I mean, I guess it's still a big deal. For sure, I'll be chassidus that if you eat something that's also causes timtum hamoyach and timtum alev, it's definitely yesh leimar, such a pshat. Okay, so let's see Rabbi Yochanan and Shita. Rabbi Yochanan Omar, dvar Torah chadsheg vecha mezipot. Midaraisa, really, you're exempt. This actually doesn't really sit well with me, but okay, it's almost not fair for my conscience. By time a hezek should nigger loich me hezek. Midaraisa, a hezek that you can't recognize is not called hezek. Matam omru b'mezid chayev. Why did they say that b'mezid chayev? So that every person should not go and be mitame the taharis of his friend and say I'm potter. So takanas chachamim is to make you chayiv if you did it b'mezid. So the question is, why not be kohen shogeg to mezid? A person can do b'mezid and say he was shogeg, and your stuff will still be mutter, and then he'll get away with it. Obviously, that's the swat of the people who say kansina shogeg to mezid. It's a logical thing for a person to do. Otherwise, he wouldn't want to out himself as a Russian. I don't know. I'm saying they should say kansina shogeg to me. I guess they felt that if a person really did it by mistake, they want to make sure that he's going to tell you, so that supersedes the chash, the worry of kansina shogeg to mezid. No, but that was Chizki. That was a svara of Chizki, actually. That midaraisa everybody's chayiv. Maybe you could use that svara, even according to the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan, that you're potter, but they're mechayiv, the person who does it b'mezid. So the question is, why not be mechayiv also the shoygeg? Because the person who did it b'mezid is obviously going to say that he was shoygeg. I guess because in case where a person really is shoygeg, they want to make sure that he's going to tell you. Maybe. We have in Shah a lot of areas of machlokes. If kansin and shogeg to mezid, if we make a knas of shogeg to mezid, do we say that even a person who did it b'shogeg is liable because the person who did it b'mezid is liable? So now we have the battle lines have been drawn. Yeah.
11:30.
Now the battle lines have been drawn. According to Chizkiah, midaraisa, you're chayiv for hezek shen and ikr. The halacha is not like Chizkiah, but I kind of like what Chizkiah is saying. Midarabanan, you're potter if you do b'shogeg in order for him to let you know. According to Rabbi Yochanan, midaraisa, you're potter, you're exempt for hezek shen and ikr, for hezek damages he can't see. Midarabanan, you're chayiv if you do b'mezid. So people won't go and be mitami tareisa shachaverim potran. Okay, so now we're going to analyze with a lot of different mishnas and brises to see whose opinion makes the most sense. So now it says in the Mishnah, if kohenim cause pigul in the base of mikdash, b'mezid you're chayiv. So what's pigul? Anybody remembers?
You offer something with the wrong intent.
Right. So that's for sure. It could be defined as hezek shen and nikr. It's something you can't see. It's intent. So the Gemara says like this: If you're going to say. Oh, I skipped. Sorry. It says because of tikkun olam, which means midrabana. If you're going to say hezek shen and nikr shmei hezek, it's considered hezek.
Isn't pigul mina Torah? Pigul lo yeratz.
Yeah, exactly.
So why are they saying the Rabbanan? The Rabbanan.
Pigul
I think in that part.
It disqualifies the carbon min Torah, but the question is if the kohen has to pay him back, pay the guy who he messed over back. That's the question. So according to this, it seems like it's the Rabbanan, which would be a raya for Rabbi Yochanan. Mamish a raya for Rabbi Yochanan. If you're going to say hezek that you can't recognize, it's called hezek. It's called the damage. I should have used a different lashon. If it's b'shogeg, you're potter because of tikkun olam. Not mezid. Not that you're chayiv b'mezid b'day tikkun olam. According to him, you're chayiv b'mezid midaraisa. Shogeg, you're potter because of tikkun olam. Says the Gemara, it's already dachuk. That is what we're saying. Zidin chayav. If you do b'mezid, you're chayav. Chashogegin peturim b'pnei tikkun olam. But if you do it b'shogeg, you're potter because of tikkun olam. Why? Like we said before, in order for him to let you know.
Sorry, David, I just lost a spot. Where are you?
We're up to Masiv Rabbi Elazar, 7 lines in the bottom of Nun Gimel Amud Aleph. It's a difficult Gemara. Masiv Rabbi Elazar asks a question. Somebody who does work with the water of the chatas or the carbon, the paraduma, you're chayav b'dinei shemayim. Potter b'dinei odom chayav b'dinei shemayim. True, this is the chayda question on both of their shittas, because we say you're only chayav b'dinei shemayim. We didn't say anything about because of mezid you're chayav because of tikkun olam. It's interesting. It doesn't mention anything about any chayav. It just says chayav b'dinei shemayim. I'm not sure. I just thought of this question. If you're going to say that according to Chizkiah, you should be chayiv b'dinei adam namen l'chayiv. B'dinei adam namen l'chayiv. You should be chayiv even b'dinei adam. You should be obligated to pay b'dinei adam. He asks and he answers. He explains like this. We're talking about grama. We're not talking about direct. You put the potter in order for it to nurse from its mother, and by also it plowed, which is malacha. It's your machshava that you said that it should also plow. It's considered grama. So it's enough. Your machshava is enough to disqualify the paraduma, but it's not enough to be mechayiv you mitzad hezek and nicker. Hezek and nicker is only if the maisa was purely for. You did a maisa purely to cause it to be disqualified. Here, where you did a maisa for it's good, and derech agav, there was a maisa done that it did, which caused it to be disqualified, and you had a machshava for that derech agav. That's called grama. It caused it to happen. So even though, yeah, of course, it will be disqualified, you're not going to be chayiv with mamanis, according to everyone. Oh, so that answers my question. That's why it just says chayiv din shemayim. That's why we don't say you're chayiv because of tikkun olam. Even Rav Yechon is really going to need this answer, actually. And he explains, mechatos sheshoka ben mishkolis. Mechatos is we're talking about you use it to weigh on the scale as a counterbalance. So it's also considered grama. It's not a clear malacha. You didn't do anything with the water itself. You just put it on a scale. So it's a different story. It's not considered, even according to the opinion that will say hezek, shenenikr shmei hezek. In this case, it's different because you didn't do anything to the water. Even the male, if you did something to the water and the water didn't change, that's a different story. Here, you didn't do anything directly to the water. It's just a grum. It happened to be that it was used as a weight. Rava says that if you use it as a weight, it's kosher. We are now turning the page to the Gimel Amud Beis. And for the Gemara, like kasha, it's nishkin kasha, or begufon, or bekinegdon. One is talking about the gufon, the actual water that you put meat in the water. And Rashi says you have notches in the kli. So when you put the meat in the water, depending on how high the water rises, that's how you'll know how heavy the meat is. It was a way of weighing in ancient times. That was the famous way that they weighed the famous story of Rabbeinu Gershom, why he was imprisoned in the tower?
No.
Rabbeinu Gershom Meir HaGoyla. He made a throne for the king of Constantinople in the Byzantine Empire. He was like the advisor to the king. He made him a throne made out of silver, just like Shlomo Melech had such a throne made out of gold with mechanical levers. And they wanted to test to see if it was stolen, if there was some silver that was stolen from the throne. And they didn't know how to weigh it because it was so heavy. There was no scale in the ancient times big enough to weigh it. So then he wouldn't tell, so they had no way of measuring it. And they had a plan against Rabbeinu Gershom that they stole some silver and they blamed it on him. So then his wife, he married a second wife. Maybe because he didn't have children. I forgot why he married a second wife. And she got the secret out of him, just like Simpson's wife got the secret out of him. Strength, how to weigh it. He says you have to put it in water, in a massive thing of water, and you have notches, and then you'll know how heavy it is. And then they weighed it. They saw there was missing. There was some silver missing, and then they imprisoned him in the tower. And his first wife saved it. Okay.
Is that why he made the takana of Rabbeinu Gershon?
Yeah, it's almost not fair. Just because he had a bad experience, it doesn't mean everyone else is going to have a bad experience. I guess he saw the jealousy that it would cause. I mean, that's what in the Gemara says. The Mishnah says that Soros are known to hate each other, rival wives.
The other question is that when you have the mechatas and you put the meat in the mechatas, you're going to be making the mechatas fleshek.
He's saying this juice that's gonna come out, it's gonna cause something it's gonna be a hezek that's nickered, like a damage that's good that you can see. I hear you. It's interesting. Maybe we're talking about you wrap the meat in something, like a piece of something. I don't know. The Gemara says, like kasha, begufon, or connected. If you use the meat and put the meat in the water as a way of weighing it, so then of course, that's what we're talking about. Now, I don't know how you could say that that's a groma. Why is it a groma? Or are you doing something with the water directly? You're putting the meat in the water. It's not like just putting it on the other side of the scale. I'm not sure. But if you do it on, if you're just putting it on the other side of the scale, that's fine. It's no problem. You're doing something with it. Whoops. But my question is the question of the Gemara. I forgot. Should be chayiv in b'dini odom if you're going to say hezek shen and nikr shmei hezek according to Chizkiah. It's not even a groma anymore. It's for sure not a groma, and it's mamish a hezek shen and nikr. You're putting it in the water. And rather we could say they're both talking about that. You put it on the scale. Like kasha da asach daito da le asach daito. Rav is talking about you didn't have hezek hadas. We're talking about that you had hezek hadas. You're supposed to be lishmer, mishmeres. You have to keep your mind on it, and you removed your mind on it when you used it as a scale. So as a weight, so that's considered a grama. That's like a grama. That if you have hadas, it's not a clear damage. Even according to Chizkiah, you're going to be potter if you have hadas. If you do something with, you don't have hadas, it's fine. Even the mechatas doesn't become tamei, doesn't become a puzzle. If you have hadas, even according to Chizkiah, it will be okay. It has to be like you're making a tamei, making a yainesach, doing something with the thing itself. Putting meat in the water, that would be for sure forbidden according to Chizkiah. Okay. Now we're going to move on. We're up to 2 dots on Daf Nun Gimel Amud Beis. We're not really moving on. Mostly Rav Papa has another question on Chizkiah. I don't know why they put 2 dots here. I don't know if I agree with this, with the 2 dots. Because it's really part of the same subject. Mostly Rav Papa gozal matbea v'nifsal. Let's say you stole a coin and the coin became possible, but not because of you, because they put it out of circulation. So the guy didn't have his coin this whole time, and now it can't be used anymore. So it was your fault that he didn't use it, but it's not your fault that it was possible. Truma v'nitmeis. It became talking by itself. The truma chometz v'overlov Pesach. If it's chometz, then Pesach happened. You tell him what's yours is in front of you. If you're going to say hezek shen and nikr is called hezek, he's a thief and you should pay him money. So you should pay him money. According to this brisa in Bava Kama, you just have to return the object, even if it's no longer of any value. And according to Chizkiah, we should say there's a thief who is Magbia. It took us. It's Kimle Birshusay, and now there's a hezek that happened. Even if it's a hezek and a nikr, it should be what's it called? They should have to pay for it. So what's the obvious question that you could ask? We just explained from Paraduma that according to Chizkiah, he'll say that there's an exception if it's groma. This is also groma. You didn't do the hezek. Even if it's hezek shen and nikr, you have to do it. You didn't do it. It happened by itself. This is Tosfos, the second Tosfos on the page on Nun Gimel Amud Beis table. Question is, how could you compare our case over here, where it's happened by itself, to the case of where you caused tumah b'yadayim? Even if you're going to say that if it happens by itself, you should be able to tell even according to Chizkiah. If you cause your friend's animal to get weak through stone, like it tripped on, I think it slipped on stones or something, or through its work, you're chayev. But if it happened by itself, or if the fruits that you lent from him, you borrowed from him, became rotted, tell him what's yours is in front of you. You weren't kind to them through a shinoi, because they're be'ain. I think she's doing Dominic. You want to put them? You can put them. You can bring it to me. Izzy, come. You want to sit with Tati? So it's a eyes in the kasha and taisvis. The Shlomo will just do the first answer. The kiva the hezek shen nikar shmei hezek. If you're going to say the Chizki holds hezek shen nikar shmei hezek, you can chashav like ilu nikar. That means it's as if you could see it. You can't in the chashina godel mizeh. Ukno magazim b'shinoi v'tzorch l'sham b'mom imalya. Shem kein shegozav le'motz yom le'yeshachol le'v'nech. It's as if it's nikar. So it's a big shinoi. And the gazan is kind of through the shinoi that happens. Because you took it in your house, so you're kind of through the shinoi and you have to pay with a good moment, with mom namalia. Because he stole it, that's the difference. Taiso says because he stole it, Knoam b'shinoi, through the shinoi you stole it. It's different than Rashi. Rashi says you're kind of through, what's the lashon? Midamashche v'kom le'bershusei. So you have to pay him what you had stolen. You have to pay him what you had stolen. So Taiso says you're kind of b'shinoi, because hezek shen and nikar shmei hezek, it's as if you could see it. And therefore, you can't tell him how you should call it. You have to pay him what you had taken. These are difficult sugyas, I have to say. So the Gemara says, going back to the Gemara, you have to pay the money. You have to. It's a refutation to Chizkiah, and Allah is a Rabbi Yochanan that hezek shenikar shmei hezek. Okay, let's go on to the next sugya. Let us say this is a machlokes tanoim. Hamatam v'dam v'nasich. It's exactly the cases of our Mishnah. If someone causes tumah, he causes demai, he mixes truma with chulin, v'manasich, and he makes him yain nesach. Mir says both shaking and mazing you're chayiv. Different than our Mishnah. Our Mishnah we said shake your pot. Here the shaking pot and mazing chayiv. Your view says b'shaking your pot and mazing chayiv. My love, probably this is the machlokes. The Mar Sover hezek shen nikar shmei hezek. According to the Mir shmei hezek, it's considered hezek. And different than the time of our Mishnah, where we said you're potter, you're exempt. Different than the time of our Mishnah, where he says you're potter, you're exempt. He holds your chayiv b'shoigig. He doesn't give an exemption for shoigig according to Rabbi Meir. But this could fit with Chizkiah. That it's midaraisa, you're chayiv both b'shoigig and b'mezid if you're matam madam menasech. Rabbi Yehuda Omer b'shoigig potter b'mezid chayiv. According to Rabbi Yehuda, b'shoigig you're exempt, b'mezid you're chayiv. So really, theoretically, you could say everything fits according to Chizkiah, or you could say this is the machlokes. My love b'hokim miflagi. Marsov hezek shenikar shmei hezek. According to Rabbi Meir, it's considered hezek. Hezek shenikar hezek, damage that you can't recognize. Or Marsov shmei hezek. According to Rabbi Meir, it's not considered hezek. According to everybody, it's not considered hezek. Hezek shenidikr. Here the machlokes is, are we koines shoyge got to mezid? The Marsav or konser shoyge got to mezid. According to the Meir, if you're going to say someone who's mezid is chayiv, you're also going to say someone who's shoyge is chayiv, and it's actually very logical. Because most people who do mezid, they're not going to admit they did it mezid. They're going to say they did it by mistake. So it makes sense to be kindness shoyge got to mezid. According to Yehuda, it's not. There's no knas of shoyge got to mezid. Okay, so you don't have to say that we don't have a raya for Chizkiah. Maybe he could fit with this Mishnah. We don't have a raya for him. Text just points out, Avagav the Maisi Achreke and Tnoi come to Yufta Mishum Tekin Alocha Deleish Mehazik. Even though there is a support for Chizkiah, there's a even though it's not dafka to yufta for Chizkiah because there's a riot to support him. Nevertheless, this is the halacha. Because the halacha is not like Chizkiah, the Gemara ends off with tiyufta. Okay. So now we have a question. We'll end off with this question. It should be 1 minute. Virami, Rab Yehuda, Virami, Rab Meir, Rab Meir, Virami, Rab Yehuda, Rab Yehuda. We have a contradiction between the opinions of Rab Yehuda and Rab Meir. So what's the contradiction? What do we say here? That according to Rab Meir, you're chayiv for shogegid, and according to Rab Yehuda, you're potter. According to Rab Meir, you're chayiv for shogegid, and according to Rab Yehuda, you're potter. So the Gemara says like this. The Tanya it says in the Brisa. Theoretically, it's also a question of Rab Meir from our Mishnah. In our Mishnah, it says, like Rab Yehuda, L'chayr Stam Mishnah is Rab Meir. Okay, I guess we could say our Mishnah is Rab Yehuda. I think in the Yushalmi it has the opposite. It says the Gemara like this. Kasha the Rab Meir, the Meir, Kasha the Rab Yehuda. What's the question? The Tanya somebody who cooked.
You're just cutting off a little bit. Yeah, but you're cutting off a little bit.
Oh, the whole Wi-Fi went down. Let's see.
Just starting now, you're cutting off. Hamavash Silber Shabbos. That's where you started cutting out.
1 sec. The Wi-Fi is down. I don't know why. It says incorrect password. Maybe she changed the password. Do you hear me?
Now we can hear you. We can hear you fine now.
Okay. For some reason, I don't know what happened. Maybe she changed the password.
You seem to have the Wi-Fi now.
What?
You have the Wi-Fi now, you see.
Someone who cooks on Shabbos by mistake, he can eat, but on purpose he can't eat. Can't eat forever. If you do it b'shogeg, you could eat it on Motzei Shabbos, according to the but you're not allowed to eat it ever. Yochanan Sandler says, b'shogeg you could eat it on Motzei Shabbos for other people, not for you. If you do b'meiz, you're not allowed to eat it forever. You, not you, and not others. The halacha is like Reb Yehuda, b'shogeg you could eat on Motzei Shabbos. But I think you have to wait b'chtesh yasa, the amount of time it takes to cook it. And b'meizid, you're not allowed to eat it ever. So the Gemara says, kasha the Reb Meir, kasha the Reb Yehuda. It's a question on both of them. Meir, the Reb Meir, like kasha. It's not a question of Meir. Why? In other words, Reb said that you're chayiv both shogeg and meizid. And here all of a sudden says, here all of a sudden he says you're only chayiv shogeg, so it's not a question. Kikonis midrabanan. He only gives real knas and something which is midrabanan. So what's it midrabanan? What is he? Why is he saying it's midrabanan? Mitame menasach midrabanan, says Rashi. Hezek shen nikolish me hezek. It's not a deraisa. The chiyuv for meizid is only midrabanan. So because the chiyuv for meizid is only midrabanan, you're not going to be kohen as shogeg. The Gemara of Hom Nasach midaraisa. The kokonis l'chayda menasach is deraisa. Being menasach is an issue deraisa. It's not just an issue derabanan. It's an issue deraisa. Being betame and madam is an issue derabanan. Menasach is an issue deraisa. And there's a knas according to b'shogeg mishum chumra the is called say because of the chumra of the zora. He gives you the knas. The Rebbe Yehuda lo kasha will end with this. It's not a question on Rabbi Yehuda. Ki lekonis b'dirabanan. B'diraisa konis. There's no knas on a dirabanan, but on a diraisa there's a knas. In other words, he doesn't give a knas on a dirabanan in the case of our Mishnah. Only for mazid it's forbidden. Obviously there is a knas, but it's not going to be kodesh shaken to mazid by dirabanan. By diraisa, which is mavashal b'Shabbos, he's going to give you a knas. To say both are forbidden. Both shaking and mazid are forbidden.
The kanas is only derabanan, isn't it? A kanas.
What?
When they give a kanas, it's only derabanan, isn't it? The rabbis give the kanas. I don't think it's from the Torah, is it? Kanas.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so the Bible ends off. There's no knas on Menasech. Because of the Chumrah, but it already doesn't need to give a knas. Okay, I'm sorry. I think we'll stop here. We'll continue on Monday, Bezrat Hashem.
Okay, you can remind us on Monday, maybe send